You're now locked into Zone 32.
Grant Derflinger, Jake Miller, the infamous Drew.
Only on NeutralZoneInfractions.com.
End Zone Infraction.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another installment of the Zone 32 podcast. My name is Jake. His name is Grant. His name is Drew. Say what's up to the people. Hey. Alright, so we've been gone a couple weeks. A couple weeks went by and things did not go well. 2 weeks, the last preview we did was a victory against the Browns, and we played the Steelers and the Browns immediately following, and they both wound up being 2-Ls. I won't go any further detail because I'm not going to go any further detail. Drew, you want to fire Greg Roman into the sun, along with Ben Powers, along with EDC. The floor is yours. Rant, sir.
Also, it's a rare day. EDC's like fifth on my list today, so you got to start off with Greg Roman. Just fire him. Why is he still employed? Makes absolutely no sense to me. This has been 5-6 games in a row that we just have an anemic offense. I understand Lamar got hurt, but Tyler Huntley looked actually decent for once. Wasn't overthrowing everybody. Overthrew a couple touchdowns, Hollywood, but you're still running stupid screenplays, stupid draw plays. Why do you have a hot read for your fucking backup quarterback on a 4th and 6 to throw it at the number one cornerback on the Browns in a game-clinching situation? Who the fuck calls that play? That's got to be Roman, because Roman's got to build that hot read into that play. You don't let your backup quarterback do that, because your backup quarterback is a backup for a reason. His play calling in general is fucking atrocious. The only thing worse than his play calling is our offensive line. Again, Ben Powers and Alejandro Villanueva would be gone. There's no point for them being on this fucking team. They are so fucking bad. It's embarrassing to watch. Whoever the number one pass rusher is on the other team is in the backfield every single play because they suck. There's just no way around that. They're fucking terrible. I think, you can blame EDC for signing Villanueva in the first place and thinking Villanueva could be your starting right tackle. That's a, very stupid use of resources, a very stupid contract to sign. Clearly, he's 38 years old, and he is not the same player anymore. You had to bring him in for a workout to see what he had before you signed him. You have to be able to see that kind of shit, and that's fine. You can trash him for that. None of his, offensive line picks have panned out at all. Tyree Phillips is fucking terrible, but Tyree Phillips is a guard. So the fact that we're having him play tackle is not really his fault. He's not good. He should never play tackle again. But I also can't sit here and get on him because that's not his position. That's not where he should be playing for this team. I'm a little ticked off with Lamar. Again, we're recording this on Tuesday, so supposedly Lamar's going to play Sunday. That is what all the reports say, is that it's a low ankle sprain or nothing that serious. Why is he not back in that game? And so is that a Steve Saunders problem? Is our training staff that fucking stupid that you can't get your star quarterback back in the game to play? This is a very important game. The Browns are a game behind us. And that now makes it a season series split. So that leaves it up to some fucking weird tiebreaker that, we're probably going to have the disadvantage in. So you got to get Lamar back on the field in that situation. There's no point in him not playing. I just think that this team is we shouldn't be where we are. We shouldn't be 8-5 with the kind of injuries that we have, with the kind of close games that we've played. If you looked at the roster in the beginning of the year and looked at everybody we're missing, and you told somebody that we would be 8-5, they'd be in first place in the division at this point in the year, they'd be fuck off, you're lying. But we're there. So we need to capitalize on it. And, it's all about getting into the playoffs, and I understand that. But, let's get in the playoffs with some momentum and fucking win some games and, win a Super Bowl. That's the overall goal, is to win the Super Bowl. So let's, look at what we have and kind of roll forward and, get shit going. Bateman looked good on Sunday. That is the one positive that I could take out of that game. Is that, again, with Roman, to fucking harp on him again, because he needs to be fucking gone. He opens up the playbook for our backup quarterback. He fucking handcuffs our starting quarterback. He doesn't have Bateman on the field at all with Lamar. And then all of a sudden Lamar's off the field and you got Bateman running routes, fucking catching everything. He got robbed of his first touchdown because, again, the officials are blind. We could do a whole fucking 8-hour episode on how fucking terrible the NFL officials are. We got penalized 15 times for 140 yards, and half of them were just fucking terrible calls. And then the other half of them were Alejandro Villanueva. So, again, not terrible calls because he shouldn't be on the field. But I don't know. It was a fucking shit show Sunday. Hoping that, we just fuck the Packers' day up. I hope Rodgers' foot falls off, on the flight over here. And that's a Jordan Love game and that, we can walk away with a win with that. But that was just fucking ugly. It's been an ugly 2 weeks, and I really just, I want to have faith in this team, and I want to say we're going to win, but like they're testing my patience here.
Well, to your point about Alejandro Villanueva not needing to be on the team, they cut him next year. It saves $6 million in cap space. So, yes, bye.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Go home.
Like, I mean, not to mention it was a $24-25 million contract over 3 years, some shit like that. You need to be making that kind of money. He's not even an average. He's a far below average starter at this point. He'd be a reserve tackle in the league if he still wants to play. Ben Powers needs to fuck off.
Yep, Ben Powers just needs to die. Like I've just had enough of him. Tired. Why draft Ben in the third round with limited picks? I mean, we didn't pick after the fifth round this year. Like I think we only had like 6 draft picks. You traded half of them away, or you cut Mason, and you're taking a guy to just warm your bench. Like what's the fucking point of that? Like we have offensive line struggles. Put in Ben Cleveland. He can't be any worse than Ben Powers.
Not to mention you could have had Trey Smith in the 5th round and say a fullback who's not even on your team anymore. And even the slot corner from Ohio State, who's not on your team anymore. You could have had him, and you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to draft these 2 players who aren't even going to make my roster. So.
Well, and the draft nerds were jerking off over the fucking Sean Wade pick. Like, he hasn't even suited up for the Patriots. So, is Ben Mason still on the Patriots practice squad? I don't even think he's been active yet this year.
Right? No, I don't think he is, but I would have to Google that to find out. But anyway, last but not least, Mr. Grant. Give me your thoughts on these past couple weeks and overall the shit show that we've been witnessing from our Baltimore Ravens.
It hasn't been fun. So, I mean, all the injuries, it feels like every single game there's a huge key injury that somebody goes out and it's like, oh, here we go again. It's almost like we're immune to it at this point. I'm with Drew on the sentiments of Greg Roman. Why he still has a job is beyond me. I mean, you're in contention right now. The only thing maybe is switching signal callers mid-season when you're in the mix of a playoff hunt. But I mean, you have guys on the roster that could fill right in and do that. But back to the play of the 4th and 6. As the offensive coordinator, you should know that on that down and distance, the corner's playing inside leverage to alleviate that inside slant because that's a 3-yard catch that could turn into easy 6. So your first job is that, hey, I'm going to make him beat me outside, make the quarterback throw outside the numbers. So what are you doing? Like, there's so many other options, so many other plays, like, and back to, like Drew said, opening the playbook. I mean, like, that game started out, it's such a boring script, and it's the same fucking script every game. And it's like, okay, we're cool with a 3-and-out here. Like, the way they just, like, jog off the field after getting a 3-and-out for the first 3 series is just like, it's like, what are you doing, man? Open it up early. Like, what are you saving? I mean, I know we are a second-half team, but, that's what adjustments are for. Quit being lazy. Make your adjustments. You know what's working. The up-tempo works. What took you so long to run the up-tempo? We ran the up-tempo in the second half with Huntley, and he balled out. I mean, he had a hell of a second half. And, I did say earlier, he needs to work on his pocket awareness big time. I think the Madden rating would probably be 0. You can't stand still in the middle of a pocket for a 3 count. But, he played well. I mean, he did miss Hollywood on 2 deep balls. One of them was a game winner. He's got to get that part down. But, it is what it is. He stepped in, had no idea he was going to play, and then he balled out, did what he did, almost won us the game. I mean, we got an onside kick. It never happens. Actually, like 2 seconds before that, I was like, man, we never get these. And my son started laughing. He goes, you never know. And then all of a sudden we get it. And I'm like, oh, here we go. We're going to win this game. You just need about 15, 20 yards for Tucker. And then we come out holding, false start. It's like, come on, man. Then you put yourself behind the chains 15 yards. And it's like, it's just stupid mistake after stupid mistake. We don't capitalize on turnovers. I can't tell you how many dropped interceptions we had this year. Brandon Stevens dropped one twice. That, it's like, dude, I don't understand it. Any other team, like look at the picks that they had, last week, the Steelers week, or, who was the other one? The Dolphins, I think it was, where they're like diving, Browns. No, I mean like 3 weeks ago. But like they're like diving, fingertip catches, one-hander interceptions, and our guys are letting it bounce right off their numbers. And it's like, at some point it's got to give. Lamar, it's hard. I heard people going around saying, oh, you should sit him. I think that's stupid. You're right in the middle of a playoff hunt. That's probably the dumbest thing that you could ever do. He's your leader. He's your guy. It's not him. It's Roman. Lamar is making mistakes. He is missing reads. I don't know what his. It could even be Roman. Roman's the one that's setting the concepts. He's the one that's saying, "Hey, this is your first read on this. This is your second read on this. This is your third read on this." So it might not even be Lamar, and he's not checking back because if you look at the routes where they're wide open, his eyes are completely at a different side of the field, and you can watch his head moving, but it's the backside that's usually open. So it's like he's got to change his his resets, and that's on the offensive coordinator. But something's got to change, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we won out, and I also wouldn't be surprised if we lost out. There's a lot of games this year where we could easily be, 3 games ahead on the win column, but it didn't work out that way. We could also be 5 games back on the loss or 5 games ahead on the loss column. So, the whole team is kind of gelling together. They're running this whole thing. Hey, next man up, but you're going to run out of people soon, and it's going to be tough. We make the playoffs, it could get ugly, but I think we still do make the playoffs. So
there's a video floating around of Steve Smith. I think it's before the year where he talks about Greg Roman is going to be the one who holds Lamar back this year, and if Lamar is looks like he's taking a step back in his progressions, that it's actually Greg Roman's fault. And he goes through and he highlights plays from the San Francisco days, and then the Buffalo days, and then the Ravens days, and they're literally the exact same plays. And then we sit here wondering why all our receivers are blanketed every play, and it's because Greg Roman doesn't change shit up. He calls the same fucking plays over and over again, and then acts shocked that the defense knows what's coming. And it's like, how do you have somebody like that employed? Like, I literally think that you could pick a random fan out of the stands, show them our playbook, and they could call a better offense than Greg Roman.
He got put in because of his past with Michael Vick and Colin Kaepernick. It had nothing to do with his ability as a coach or a play caller. It was the fact that we drafted this shiny new sports car and nobody else knew how to deal with it except for this guy that was on the roster. And then when Marty was fired, he just automatically gets kind of put in because of that history. And then Lamar is so electric and so incredible that he's kept his job around. Harbaugh was almost fired. They were talking about firing Harbaugh mid-season. That was he was number one head coach on the hot seat. And then Lamar gets a starting gig and goes 7-1 at the end of the season. And, it's like he saved that man's job too. But Lamar gets all the heat. You don't hear anything about now. Roman's starting to get a lot of heat too, finally, because you got guys like Steve Smith, Ryan Clark, like they're out there like, dude, what's this guy doing?
He's still got his dick riders on Twitter. Roman still has fans that are like, if not Roman, then who? And
he sucks.
Literally.
It's just like it's honestly his offense is like the Wildcat. If you get a quarterback that you really don't have a lot of film on, because look at what he's done with all those athletic quarterbacks. He got Vic, later when he got out of prison and everything, so nobody knew what Vic had left in the tank or what to expect from him. He had Colin Kaepernick at an early, part of his career that, not a lot of people knew. He was a tall, long, lanky, athletic dude with a strong arm. And, he nobody knew how to defend him yet. There was no tape on him except for college, so you don't really know what to expect in that type of offense. And same thing with Lamar. People wanted Lamar to go to wide receiver. And so you got a guy that, what are his strengths? Can he, does he like to roll to his right? Does he like to roll to his left? What kind of, what kind of pockets does he throw from? Does he have arm angles? How can we defend him? Like those little things that build up a lot are the reasons that keep him a job. And you know what? He's going to get fired from here. Somebody's going to pick him up. Somebody's going to draft an athletic quarterback in the draft next year. And then it's going to be same story in the next 3 years.
Well, and the thing with him, too, is if you look at all his offenses, the first year, 2 years, they're very good. Because, again, people don't really have film. If you put Greg Roman in Chicago right now, Justin Fields would be a borderline MVP candidate. David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert would go nuts. And then, in year 2 and 3, they'd suck because everybody would realize, oh, he's just still calling the same shit again. I feel like people look at Greg Roman coming in and they're like, yeah, there's no way he's calling the same plays. And then they look at, 8 games worth of game film and they're like, nope, he's still calling the same shit over and over again. And then it gets figured out and the team gets stuffed. And, I feel like Lamar has actually, prolonged his career. I think that if you had like a Tyrod Taylor caliber quarterback like he had in Buffalo, who had a very good first year with him, that, Roman's fired after 2020 because Lamar isn't there to save him. Like if Lamar isn't making magical plays and being Lamar Jackson, I don't think Greg Roman has a job.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And back to the offensive line, I mean, it is an issue. There's a lot of injuries there, but I'm on the Blaine Cleveland train too. You know, Ben Powers is getting his ass kicked every single play, and he looks lost, confused. You know, he's on the same side as Villanueva, so you got the two worst offensive linemen side by side, and they're just letting a whole floodgate open up for anybody. And that's why if you look at some of the zero blitzes, they most of the time they're overpowering that side, which I would too. So the offensive line's a problem, and you know it's not like I mean Murray can pass block, but you know outside of that, I mean we don't really have any pass blocking running back, so you can't really leave somebody out. But the draws up with the zero blitz coverages. I mean you got guys like Dan Orlovsky making fun of Greg Roman like weeks. What did he say? He said the other day like 6 weeks in and still have no idea about the zero blitz. So it's like man, it's been a whole lot more than 6 weeks, bud.
Dan Orlovsky has the second most voted not top 10 play. It's the butt fumble, and then it's him fucking running out of bounds away from for the safety from Jared Allen.
Jared Allen,
and he is laughing at your offensive coordinator. Like that's how bad Greg Roman is. I mean, no disrespect to Dan Orlovsky, like whatever. He made the NFL. I'll never be an NFL quarterback in my life. Like fine, good for you. But he wasn't good.
He knows his shit too.
Yeah, he knows his X's and O's, and he's looking at this like, what the fuck's wrong with you, Greg Roman? And, honestly, if it wasn't for Harbaugh, too, like, we'd be fucked. I mean, no other head coach has the nuts to go for two in both of those situations that he did. You look at the end of the Steelers game, like, you lose Marlon, you're going into overtime. Do you trust the secondary without Marlon Humphrey to stop the Steelers from scoring a touchdown? Probably not. So you
stop on the rest of the game.
And Greg Roman actually drew up a decent play there. Other than four of our offensive linemen falling flat on their fucking face, like there was,
you have to laugh at that though.
Well, so I'm looking at that, and it's like, so supposedly that was an RPO, and so that's why you let T.J. Watt come in unblocked, is that you're trying to have him be over aggressive, and you kind of have Mark Andrews sneak out to the flat over there uncovered, and that's fine. But why are you faking a handoff to Devonta Finn? Nobody is going to key in on Devonta Freeman. Like, nobody respects our run game anymore. So they're going to look at Lamar, and they're going to look at the pass plays. Okay, fine. But you have four offensive linemen that end up flat on their fucking face, and you have Tyree Phillips standing in front of Chris Wormley, who's not even rushing the passer. He's just kind of standing there minding his own business. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, call a play that fucking works. And then that 2-point play with Huntley was a fucking horrendous play call. Like, it was a horrible throw by him. You got two guys. You got somebody going shallow and somebody going deep in the end zone, and he throws it in the middle and gets picked off. Fine. But, like, it's the right call to go for two in both of those situations. And thank God Harbaugh has the nuts to, make that decision. But we have to execute on this. Like, you can't be making the ballsy play call there, the, analytics play call, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that people are pissed off about. Like, they're pissed off because they didn't work. If they worked, everybody would be praising it. So, like, let's clean that shit up and make those plays fucking work, and then we're winning games.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Precisely. And to you guys' point about the division and everything, I think 10-7 will probably get it done at this rate because look at the other three teams and who they play the rest of the way. Bengals got Denver. Who knows? Then we play the Bengals. Then they get Kansas City. Then they finish at Cleveland. Cleveland gets the Raiders this week with a lot of their players on COVID, so who really knows on that front. They already played Kansas City this year. I forget who they played week 16. They get the Steelers week 17, Bengals week 18. Oh, the Packers. They get the Packers on a Saturday night after they play the Raiders. So, I mean, that's not an ideal scenario for them. They could definitely lose two of those games, putting them at 9-8. Pittsburgh get the Titans, go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Cleveland coming to your house, and then the Ravens in Baltimore. So I think it's very light. It wouldn't be surprising to see the division winner at 10-7 or 9-8. I think 10-7 gets it done. Possibly even if you lose to the Bengals this next week. But either way,
my whole thing is the Rams have a ton of guys on the COVID IL right now. Like who the fuck knows what's going to happen with them? When they come to Baltimore. I mean, we can beat the Packers. Like the Packers are not that good of a team. They've shown that they're frauds. Like they've had those fraudulent games. So obviously they can come in here and get their shit pushed in. And you can beat the Steelers too. So I mean, there's no reason that this team shouldn't win out and go 12-5. Realistically, if they go 11-6, I feel like they win the division. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I don't trust Joe Burrow. I don't trust the Steelers in a clutch spot. Ben Roethlisberger is probably the best quarterback in the division, who besides Lamar. But again, like, are they going to go? What are they? 6-6-1 right now. So are they? They're 10-6-1 at best. Like, if we win more than 10 games and we beat them that last game of the year, like, it's our division. So there's no reason that the Ravens should not have a home playoff game as a division winner this year if they execute. And my fear is that we get in these close shootout games, like, we're undermanned on defense. Wink Martindale has done a fucking phenomenal job covering up for all those injuries. And he does not get enough credit for what he's done the last 5 games because the offense is
He's
not.
not the one responsible for the busted coverages and the busted plays. He makes the right calls. It's not his fault his players aren't executing.
Yeah, but so those are going to happen. And, the defense is going to get tired and you have the wrong people out on the field because everybody good is actually hurt. So, like, he's done what he can to kind of, mitigate that damage and kept us in games, but the offense is not picking up their end here. And it's clearly because of play calling. And, again, you can shit on Lamar's decision making. You can talk about, he's thrown too many interceptions. He's not making the right read. And that's fine. But that has to come back to the route combinations. That has to come back to him not looking at the right
Still
guys.
in the same spot. We've been talking about for years. His concepts are stupid. But there was arguments on Twitter where you got some of the riders that are talking about, let's blame it on the route concepts, or it's the route concepts with the SpongeBob meme. It is the route concepts, man. Like, when you're putting 2 of your players within a 10-yard radius of each other on in routes or out routes, anything, or crosses, anything like that. Like, that's concepts. Like, why are you designing a play for that? All you're doing is pulling 2 more defenders to that side, especially if one's a safety shade. Like, it's stupid. And, and, like, as far as, like, the division goes, I mean, of all 4 teams, Baltimore's definitely the most worthy to go. Of all 4 teams in the division, 100%. So even though it's an ugly division this year, if any team's going to win it, Baltimore is going to give them the best chance in the playoffs. So, I mean, personally, I feel like
they're in the driver's seat. And speaking of route combinations, I don't remember if this is a lost episode that Max didn't post or not, but we were here pounding the table for Odell. Like, where the fuck has Sammy Watkins been?
That was a lost episode.
Yeah. Where the fuck has Sammy Watkins been? I had that fucking Spencer Schultz idiot on Twitter telling me that, Proche, Duvernay, and Watkins were enough, and that we had great wide receiver depth, and that we didn't need to spend money on a wide receiver. Look at what Odell has done for the Rams, and then look at what Sammy Watkins has done for us. He hasn't done jack shit this year. He's got like 26 catches for 300 yards. Like, that's not fucking good. And, I wanted Sammy Watkins in the offseason, but, like, he hasn't shown up at all. And I don't know if he's just not open because of shitty route concepts. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but I can tell you that Odell's going to get open and he's going to get touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that's
especially those short intermediate routes. Those short intermediate routes he excels at, which is all Roman does. So, I mean, the fact that it was a match made in heaven, but I guess smart football decisions don't always happen.
No, because James Proche, we drafted a 28-year-old rookie in the 6th round, so we got to fucking sit him on the bench and pretend like he's going to be the next coming of God. Or, we got a gadget player in Devin Duvernay that, we run some gadget plays with, but then we put him out there running routes. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I mean, we've had to have Patrick Ricard line up in the slot multiple times this year because we have nobody else to go on the field. Why do you draft Tylan Wallace this year if you're not going to fucking use him?
Like, he's a baller, too.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he might be a baller. I have no fucking idea because he's never on the field. So why waste a draft pick on a guy to be a fucking special teams player? Why is Miles Boykin still on the fucking roster? Like, again, big, tall, fast guy that can fucking run block. Like, that's great. Like, in the limited use that he's had in his past, like, he's been okay. He's not been a great draft pick, but he's not been a complete bust either. But, like, why have him take up a fucking roster spot if you're not going to use him on offense? Hollywood.
If Bateman doesn't start getting the rock moving forward, Roman he already needs to fuck off. But Bateman's the best thing we got rolling on offense right now.
He doesn't start getting the Bateman more, or at least designing more plays for him. He needs the Logan Roy level of fuck him.
Seriously, he needs to walk up to Greg Roman and say, "Feed me the fucking ball, you asshole! Like, you used a fucking 1st-round pick on me. Like, throw me the fucking rock."
That non-touchdown was incredible. Like, the way he adjusted and made a play on that ball was nuts. And then he kept his balance, kept his feet, and then he was in 1,000%.
He got yards after catching the ball around a fucking defender. That was a horribly thrown ball by Huntley. Fucking makes the adjustment mid-play, catches the ball, and takes that across the plane for a touchdown. And granted, Freeman punched it in the next play, or Murray punched it in the next play. So fine, like, no harm, no foul. But still, like, why are we not throwing that kid the ball every fucking play? Mark Andrews.
But he opens up more for Hollywood too.
Yeah, and Mark Andrews has fucking dominated since Bateman has been healthy. And shit on Andrews for his drops here and there. I feel like his his clutch rating is a 0 if we're talking about Madden ratings, but
Yes.
he's had a phenomenal year. Like he's got almost 1,000 yards. Like he's been very fucking good, and that's all because Rashad Bateman is there taking away pressure from the middle. But throw Bateman the fucking ball. Stop
Yep.
designing routes to fucking Devonta Freeman out of the backfield or Latavius Murray out of the backfield. Like those are washed running back threes in a normal year. Stop giving them the fucking ball and throw it to your number one wide receiver.
No question about it. So let's get in. Let's go further into this Packers game on Sunday. They're coming in. They've dealt with injuries as well. Jair Alexander's missed most of the season. He's in that 21-day window for their off of IR, so he could be back this week, but it looks like he's more likely going to be back against the Browns, not back this week. Darius Smith, we missed at the time when he left. He's missed a lot of time. I'm not sure if he's still out for the year. He might be coming back for him, but it's not this week. Bakhtiari looks like he probably will be back this week. Rodgers gets his all-pro left tackle back. Jealous. But nonetheless, the Packers are still winning games. And as you said before, Drew, yeah, they are fraudulent. Though to be fair, there's every team in the NFL this year is fraudulent.
Yeah.
There's no good team. Like not a great team either. There's decent teams. Everyone's basically at that stage, but a dominant team, a clear-cut favorite to win the Super Bowl? Fuck no. Cardinals just got blasted by the Rams this past Monday night. The Bucks seem to be turning it on, but they almost lost to Buffalo, and Buffalo looks okay. And again, Buffalo was for most analysts the clear-cut favorite to win the AFC East, and the Patriots look like they're going to run away with that with their quarterback throwing 3 passes in a game. So that's always fun. So either way, Grant, I'm going to start with you and get back to the subject. What are you looking for other than a dub in this game on Sunday afternoon around 4:25 Eastern Standard Time?
See, a sense of pride. Like we've already said a million times already, we got a division on the line, a playoff seat on the line. At this point, somebody's got to rally together and get some pride and suck it up and start making some plays. I mean, the lack of big plays, the lack of, responsibility, within the offense, like it's just anemic right now. But the Packers, definitely a winnable game. But at the same time, the Packers' strengths are our weaknesses. You got a big physical receiver on the outside. You got a great pass-catching running back that's quick with an inside runs as well. Your defense, you have outstanding edge rushers. That's a problem for us. You got an aggressive safety duo, so I mean that's a problem sometimes for us. That's where Mark Andrews mismatches need to come in. Darnell Savage, he's aggressive. I love his style of play. The game itself, it's going to come to the offense. We know that defense has been playing well. They've been holding their end of the deal. It's kind of hard when you're on the field for 70% of the game. So, it gets tired in those third, fourth quarters. But whether Huntley or Lamar plays, this is a must-win. Even though the Bengals next week is probably going to be for the division, this is a must-win game. I want to see the running game get back on track. It's like Roman is like a shiny new toy sometimes. Like last week, he ran a couple counters, and they worked great. And he ran them in the same down and distance situations. So when you're watching film and you understand that, you look at those things, okay, they busted out 15 yards on this counter play. Watch for that on this situation or this formation. And, it's like he got excited. He ran it like 2 times within, I think, 4 or 5 plays. And I was like, dude, easy on the counter. Like it's a counter because you're trying to change things up. You're trying to flow the defense. But, I think they need to get that back on track. Keep Bateman in the game, feed him the rock, like we've already said. There's no reason he shouldn't have 10, 12 targets this game. Take advantage of the passing game, the home atmosphere. I want to see Anthony Averett, I want to see him back on track. He had a great game last week. But, he's been really stepping up. And without Marlowe, he's got to be the guy right now. And, hopefully Jimmy comes back, which I would see why he wouldn't. Gives him an extra week to get healthy. So, go Ravens. I think we can pull this one out. Hopefully the team shows up and we can start fast, though, man. We need to start fast.
Drew, it's all you.
I think you have to go into this game knowing you have to score 30 points to win. I think the Packers are going to score 28 points on us. They're a good offense. We're banged up on defense. Owe can come in and disrupt Rodgers a little bit. Maybe Houston gets a sack here or there. maybe a defensive back holds onto an interception and you limit them to like 21 points. But Devontae Adams is too good. He's not going to be held down by Averett the entire game. He's going to get loose. He's going to score a touchdown. Like, it's just going to happen. You have to have Greg Roman call an actual good game to win this. You have to put up 30 points. You have to get the run game flowing. You have to throw the ball to Bateman. You have to throw the ball to Andrews. You have to get Hollywood involved. And, I'm hoping Lamar's back. I've not been the biggest Huntley fan. Obviously, he's your backup quarterback. If you're sitting here talking about you need your backup quarterback to put up 30 points, like, that's not a good way to win a game. So I just think that, you need to come out guns blazing, score early and often, and hope that, you can limit the Packers offense. Play like a bend but don't break defense, make them, drive the ball down the field, no big plays, and just kind of hope for the best there. It's a very winnable game. And, like I said, the Packers, every team in the NFL has had a fraudulent game. Packers have had, more than their fair share. And I'm hoping with Rodgers banged up and, a defense that is not usually what he sees. A lot of the NFC defenses are kind of straightforward. They're going to rush 4 at you, 7 into coverage, and Rodgers is going to sit in the pocket and pick them apart. Like, Wink's a little bit more creative than that. I'm hoping it just kind of slows him down, throws him off his game, and that's just enough for us to win. But if we're going to score under 20 points again or, under 25 points, like, we're not going to win that game. So it really comes down to Greg Roman. It really comes down to the play calling. And he needs to get right or he needs to be gone. I mean, he needs to be gone regardless, but like, this is a game for his job right now. He needs to coach like this is, he's going to get fired if we don't win.
That's the problem though, is we need him to have a great game and the coaching booth there for us to win this game. So the fact that we got to rely on him in a sense is the problem at hand. That's the problem, the issue that we all have as Ravens fans. It's the problem that probably a lot of players have. They can't, they know football. Players aren't stupid. They can't say anything, obviously, but they're not dumb. They know what works, what doesn't work. They see the things in the game, and you got a guy that's calling a middle school offense, and it's just like it's just frustrating for both sides.
I mean, you had Des Bryant's corpse and fucking Willie Snead talking shit about your offensive coordinator in the offseason, talking about how his offense is not good for receivers and they're never going to score enough points with him. And you have fucking Willie Snead's unemployed as far as I know. Des Bryant is unemployed. You had Hollywood Brown tweeting about, like, why have soldiers if you don't use them, which is a stupid fucking tweet, but he's right to an extent. Like, everybody shits on Greg Roman constantly. Like, Greg Roman should come out, hang his nuts on the table, and say, fuck you, I'm the offensive coordinator of this team. Because
why was he not involved at all in the Steelers game? He would have been such an asset in that game with the way the game flow was going. Like, that would have been, like, his game. That would have been a breakout game for him. And what was his snap count? It had to have been under 20%.
No, he was on the field for 60% of the snaps, but he was running a fucking fly route every time. Because Greg Roman
was see how bad it was.
Oh, yeah, because he was sending him on streaks on the sideline, and T.J. Watt was murdering Lamar before he could beat his man. And so it's like, it's the same shit of Greg Roman's like, oh, short, fast guy, I'm going to throw it deep to him. And it just doesn't fucking work. Like, give the guy the ball, give it to him in space, and let him fucking do something with the ball. I mean, again,
playmakers.
Yeah, I'm not a Hollywood Brown fan. I fucking trashed him for years. I call him Midget Wood. He touches the fucking ball. Like, I've made no, secret about the fact that I think he was the wrong pick that year. And I think A.J. Brown would have been the much better pick. But, like, he's on your roster. Fucking use him. Like, he's fast. He's shifty.
He's got good hands.
Yeah, get him the fucking ball in space. Get him the ball in space and see what he does with it, because it can't be any worse than giving the ball to, like, fucking Tyson Williams or, Latavius Murray or Devonta Freeman. Like, give your guys the ball and see what the fuck happens. You have nothing to lose at this point if you're Greg Roman, because you're fired at the end of the year if the Ravens aren't good. If the Ravens offense doesn't fucking wake up and figure it out, like, he's going to be looking for another job, so you might as well just fucking go balls to the wall and see what happens the last couple weeks of the year.
Do you think that if we show up on Sunday and the offense is completely just non-existent again and we drop 3 in a row, do you think that the talks heat up?
Yes. I hope that this is a fucking Cam Cameron situation. I mean, again, that team started off, I think they started off 9-2 that year, the Super Bowl year. And then they sucked. They dropped a ton of games at the end of the year. I think they lost 5 out of their last 6, limped in the fucking playoffs, and then he got canned at some point. Because, again, even John Harbaugh, who is, inept when it comes to offensive coaching. I mean, look at the offensive coordinators that guy has hired. Mark Trestman, Greg Roman, Marty Morningweg, Cam Cameron, like, just fucking endless train of losers. He had 2 hits. One of them left for Detroit right afterwards. And Gary Kubiak basically like was dead after he left us, with all his like heart condition going on. He's had 2 hits and he's had a bunch of fucking fails. Like, even when he sees somebody sucks at their job and fires them, like everybody else knows that they suck at their job and they should get fired. So my best hope for this year is that Greg Roman figures it out and gets a head coaching job in the offseason, because he cannot be back in 2022. And I think that he's going to be the reason we don't win a Super Bowl this year. If we don't win a Super Bowl this year, it's going to be squarely on Greg Roman.
Most definitely. Well, also going back to your point on Averett needing to do a good job on Monte Adams, they need to treat him like they treated Antonio Brown back in 2016, where they were doubling and triple teaming him at times. You can't let Devontae Adams beat you. He will cook you. One-on-one coverage, that's a wrap. Even if Marlon's on a wrap, he's too quick off the line. His movement, that man is phenomenal. He is, Keenan Allen is a poor man's Devontae Adams. That's what I'm going to say at this point. Devontae Adams is that. That's that man.
Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yes.
There's no question anymore. I'm a Michael Thomas guy. I'm a DeAndre Hopkins guy. Devontae Adams is just better than both of them. He's going to get his. And, you can put Everett on him. You can put Stevens over the top. You can put Chuck Clark over the top. You can put Welch or Queen or whoever the fuck you want inside. You can triple team him. He's still going to get his catches. He's still going to get his points. And so my hope is that you just limit them. And, hold him to 7 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown instead of letting him have 14 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Exactly.
This is going to be an Allen Lazard game. He's going to be the one that's going to give us problems.
Well, see, so him or Valdez Scantling, those are the two that are gonna, we're gonna put too much emphasis on Devontae Adams, and one of those two is gonna run free into the end zone. But again, if that happens once, you can live with that. If that happens 3 times, you're fucked. And so it's
the tight end, the tight end's gonna score, so you might as well go ahead and just book that on FanDuel.
Good old Mercedes Lewis. Y'all remember him from the Jaguars?
What's his name? DeGuara?
Yeah, Mercedes Lewis and Navarro are fucking, Mercedes Lewis is 106 years old, and I guarantee you he gets 5 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Although I mean, again, we've harped on this last couple of weeks. Patrick has looked fucking phenomenal since I think the Miami game. And, if that continues, maybe he can lock down a tight end, or, Jimmy Smith can stop popping out babies and fucking playing the game. That would be great. And that's your tight end stopper. That's your cornerback who has lost a step but is big enough to stand toe to toe with most tight ends in the NFL.
That's true. But anyway, that's gonna do it for us this week. We'll be back at some point to review what transpires with the Ravens next week or the week after. I'm going to talk about the Bengals and chili spaghetti or whatever the fuck else with those inbred bastards over there in Kentucky. But meanwhile, I have a noise to make.
Grant Derflinger, Jake Miller, the infamous Drew.
Zone 32.